Zaid, please do the needful. जेरे सर इन्फॉर्मल बोलू?
हो बोला ना.
मी 2013 मध्ये आपल्या इन्क्लुझिव्ह इनोव्हेशन्स मध्ये होतो पार्टिसिपंट, वन ऑफ द पार्टिसिपंट्स फ्रॉम IIT Bombay. That time I was undergoing my PhD program, and my lab has displayed about 6 different technologies. Dr. MV Rane from IIT Bombay.
राणेंकडे होते.
मी त्यांचा स्टुडंट होतो आणि त्यावेळेला मी सोलार ड्रायर डिस्प्ले केला होता इन्क्लुझिव्ह इनोव्हेशन मध्ये. And thank you, you have given me space required outside of the Pendol because it was live demonstration. मला सनलाइट हवा होता, त्यासाठी तुम्ही माझी स्पेशल सोय केली होती पेंडॉलच्या एंट्रीलाच.
बरोबर आहे, आठवलं लागलंय मला.
So that time we met. You helped us a lot in that entire event. कारण ऑक्ट्रॉय पडू नये वगैरे साठी जे लेटर्स हवे होते ते तुमच्याकडनं घेतले, किंवा हे काय सेलिंग कमर्शियल टेक्नॉलॉजी, कमर्शियल नाही आहे, दिस अकॅडमिक इनोव्हेशन्स अँड गोइंग फॉर डिस्प्ले लाईक दॅट. थँक यू फॉर दॅट. And that led me towards my PhD completion, because after that exhibition, my guide allowed me to write a thesis. Thank you so much.
We are live now on YouTube as well.
Joshi sir is muted.
No.
I think we can start.
So we can start.
Okay. So good morning all. Good morning everybody. Welcome Dr. Abhay Jere, Dr. Priyam Pillai sir, Dr. Avinash Vaidya, all head of the institutions of Mahatma Education Society's various institutions. It's my immense pleasure to host Mahatma Education Society Golden Jubilee Talk Series. Today's speaker is Dr. Abhay Jere. I have a pleasure to introduce first Dr. Priyam Pillai sir, our Chief Operating Officer. Dr. Priyam Pillai graduated with PhD in Mechanical Engineering from MIT in 2011. He is currently a professor in Pillai College of Engineering, as well as he serves as the Chief Operating Officer of Mahatma Education Society. He has started many new initiatives at MES, including launch of Google Apps Education in all 48 institutions, industry academia interface with Airbus Industries, development and adoption of open source software and technologies for education, and many others. He is the founding partner of India Urban Expansion Observatory, an urban research center set up jointly with New York University, Stern School of Business. As a faculty member at PCE, his research interests include development of novel bio-inspired sensors and instruments, as well as development of smart material based on technology. He is the winner of numerous awards from US government as well as private organization. He was awarded the prestigious Gore Award for Innovation by the Institute of Solder Nanotechnologies, sponsored by US Army, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellow Award, the UC Berkeley Material Science and Engineering Department citation in 2010. He received an Outstanding Service Award for assisting the Boston Police Department and District Attorney's Office in the use of thermal cameras in their investigations. So I welcome Priyam Pillai sir also in this meeting. Proudly, I will introduce Dr. Abhay Jere sir. I know introduction is not required for Dr. Abhay Jere, but still, I want to put forward few points. Dr. Abhay Jere is Chief Innovation Officer in Ministry of HRD, Government of India. Before joining MHRD, he was Chief Scientist, Life Sciences and R&D Head of Persistent Systems Limited. Dr. Jere is responsible for promoting all innovation-related initiatives in higher education institutions, He is also the brain and driving force behind MHRD's Smart India Hackathon. I am proud to say that in every edition of Smart India Hackathon, Pillai College of Engineering has produced winners at various centers. Uh, Thousands of educational institutes are participating in Smart India Hackathon. Dr. Jere is instrumental in conceptualizing first of its kind Atal Innovation Ranking Framework (ARIIA) for ranking all education institutions on innovation achievements. We are also one of the participants of Atal Innovation Ranking Framework. Through MHRD, Dr. Jere has now established Institutions Innovation Council (IIC) across 1500 plus institutions to facilitate creation of local innovation ecosystem in these institutions. Sir, I am proudly saying that we also have part of this year IIC concept, and we also have established Institute Innovation Council in our college. Under the guidance of Dr. Jere, MHRD is conceptualizing student startup policy, which will now allow students to start their own startups while studying. Recently, he was also instrumental in convincing a very unique MBA program in innovation and entrepreneurship announced by AICTE. Dr. Jere is committed to popularize need of innovation and entrepreneurship amongst Indians. Hence, he routinely writes columns in renowned English and vernacular newspaper. He also conceptualized India First Leadership Talk Series, which is telecasted on Lok Sabha TV and even on Twitters. And many of our students are almost every day attending many of these talks. Dr. Jere has rich international experience, having worked in US, Japan, Europe. He brings in extensive research experience in cutting-edge areas such as personalized medicine, personalized genomic, and keen on contributing for achieving the universal health care for Indians. As a principal investigator, Dr. Jere has received multiple research grants from prestigious government funding agencies like CSIR, DBT, etc. Dr. Jere completed his PhD from National AIDS Research Institute, NARI, Pune, and was part of India's HIV vaccine team. He also worked as postdoctoral scientist at National Cancer Institute, National Institute of Health, USA, before coming back to India. So once again, I welcome Dr. Jere for this MES Golden Jubilee talk. I will hand over the floor to Dr. Priyam Pillai now. Priyam sir.
Thank you, Joshi sir, for the kind introduction to both me and Dr. Jere. Dr. Jere, just so you know, we are Mahatma Gandhi Society, part of a group that was established in 1970, and we have been around for 50 years now, with 48 institutions all over Mumbai and Navi Mumbai. And this is our 50th year. We had plans for a lot of big celebrations. Unfortunately, due to COVID, some of those have to be tamped down, some of them have to be moved online. But we are happy because now our reach is actually much more than it would have been if we had done for physical activities. But I think we are all very interested to know, because of the approach of MHRD, which is sort of different from what it has been in the past, whether as a facilitator for institutions and creating that environment of innovation and that innovative culture. I think you were probably one of the key people instrumental in creating that. So we are very excited to hear from you, and I would let you take over the session for now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Priyamji. So first, Honorable Priyam Pillai ji, Sandeep Joshi ji, I am really thankful to MES Society for inviting me for this Golden Jubilee Talk Series. So first, I would really like to congratulate your society for completing 50 years. And I hope that you will grow and flourish for next hundreds of years doing your good work, which you are doing. I was also happy to know from Joshi ji that large number of your students are participating in Smart India Hackathon and actually winning also at different centers. So I will really wish to congratulate you all. Currently, what has happened is large number of invitations I am getting to do online sessions, and I am not able to take many invitations. But I am aware of Pillai College, Pillai Group especially, or so I said that I feel that it's my pleasure here talking to your faculty members, your students, and I hope that what I will say will be useful for all of them in this post-COVID world. So today we are going to talk, I think the topic is opportunities in post-COVID world for India. So that's what, because large number of youngsters are really worried. We are getting multiple messages from different corners of this country where students are anxious, apprehensive about how their future is going to be. Especially final year students who have got offers, and now they are worried whether those offers will be honored and whether the jobs which they have got through campuses, they will actually keep those jobs. So these apprehensions are really real, and we really need to address these concerns in as much as different ways as possible, or in as many ways as possible. So currently, when I started getting these messages that what could be opportunities in post-COVID world, I felt that I should talk to large number of thought leaders in the field, in different fields, because sometimes when we sit in government, we get into a mode that we understand everything, and we know everything, and that's not the reality majority of the times. So it is good to go out and talk to experts in different fields and take their views on what could be the post-COVID world scenario. Whether they also know it completely may not be. They may not also know it completely, but they are also thinking from their own perspective, from their own sector's perspective. And sometimes that actually help us realize what can be opportunities for our youngsters in this post-COVID world. So when we were talking to, so I started this leadership talk series in first week of April, and till date now I have spoken to about 25-30 leaders from different fields, from media field to bioengineering, biogas, automobile sector, manufacturing sector, IT sector. And I have tried asking them, all these leaders, same question, that what do you think will be the post-COVID world and what could be the opportunities for our youngsters in post-COVID world in your sectors. And when I spoke to many of these leaders, I got a sense that large number of these leaders were looking at this COVID crisis as a opportunity or blessing in disguise, as blessing in disguise. And and many of them were seeing silver lining in this COVID crisis. And the primary reason for this silver lining or blessing in disguise was that large number of there is a important call. We are live, right? So I will take a call. So I will continue. So so what happened was that so large number of these anyway. Sorry, friends. I'm getting large number of calls from office, but I will continue. So what when we spoke to them, so they said that the world is extremely annoyed with China, and because of that, they're annoyed with China. We will able to eventually get a lot of investment, especially from Western countries, who were keen on going to China. Uh, and in long term, this actually COVID crisis will prove blessing in disguise for all our sectors. As IT sector in India is already booming, or knowledge sector where India has already established itself, and they have worked from home, and they have maintained their productivity. For example, I was talking to Dr. Anand Deshpande, Persistent Systems, CEO of MD and Chairman of Persistent System, and he told me that Persistent System was working with about 70 to 80% efficiency. So they had actually figured out the model of working from home to deliver their task, to engage with their customers, and they were working with real good capacity. I spoke to Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy, who is chairman of Cyient Group of companies. It's again a very big group with 20,000 plus people. They are into IT, they are into manufacturing, and there also they said, Dr. B.R. Mohan Reddy sir told me that they are also working somewhere between 70%, 75% efficiency. So it was a very heartening news to know that some of these companies, high-tech companies, which are knowledge-based companies, are working very well. And when we talk to manufacturing companies, yes, there is a dent in production. There is certainly, it's undeniable that their growth has contracted. Their businesses have gone down. And it is going to be the condition for next 6 months or so. So when we spoke to these companies, they said, sir, next 6 months are certainly going to be very, very difficult for us, where we will be working on conserving our cash. But in a lifespan of 70 years, 100 years of an individual, 6 months, 8 months is not a big time, or a year is not a big time. So we should not get disappointed beyond a point. And we should ensure that we work with zeal and passion and work and identify new opportunities. And with the news coming out from various countries like Japan or Germany, where the countries are now given incentives to companies to move out from China, we believe that this is going to be extremely useful to us in long run. And if you see yesterday's news coming out from Germany, their biggest shoemaker, which had invested heavily in China, has moved to India, and they have now started their production in Uttar Pradesh. So this is what the government is hoping. State governments like Maharashtra state government or Karnataka state government, UP state government, Gujarat state government have realized this opportunity, and they are really actively pursuing this opportunity. So in long run, I genuinely believe that our youngsters need to be extremely positive, because more and more opportunities are going to come to this country. This is one part. But as I said, that in short term there is pain which we have to go through. Now, how you should utilize this time is extremely very, very critical. So when we were I was talking to large number of leaders, these industry leaders. They said to me that, Abhay, please tell students that they should utilize their time, this time, to ensure that they enhance their skill sets. Okay, so your skill set before pre-COVID world, or before this pre-COVID crisis, should be better in once you are in post-COVID crisis. And the good example they all are quoting were of 2008 recession. When we spoke to some of these, they said that during 2008, we went ahead and gave offers to large number of youngsters through campuses. And then as the recession kicked in big way, we had to hold in large number of those offers. And in many of the cases, those offers were not even honored. Okay. But when in 2010, the market picked up or started picking up, these industries were looking out for people. And they went to those people whom they had given up offer. But because there was a lag of about a year and a half, majority of the industries decided that they will re-interview the people before giving that offer. And from the persistent systems or from KPIT and other, we can say that based on their experience, it was found that some of the rejected candidates, which they had rejected during initial offer, they actually got the offer because during that period, they actually went ahead and enhanced their skill sets. Okay, so this is extremely important for all the youngsters, and as even professors also, which you are listening to it. So you should explore how you can use this lockdown period, or you could have used this lockdown period to enhance your skill sets. There are a large number of online courses, MOOC courses. Government has come up with something like Swayam, which is now emerged as one of the biggest MOOC in this country, where about 1.3 crore youngsters have registered and are taking courses. But the completion rate for many of the courses is pretty low. So it's about anywhere between 3% to 5%. What I believe is that students, youngsters should go ahead, complete those courses, get this certification during this COVID period, and actually ensure that their skill sets are enhanced and they are better prepared when this market is ready. This is one part. Another thing is that if you are doing your startups or if you are associated with some kind of businesses, you really need to enhance how differently you are going to, or what could be your different business models. So the biggest sufferers of this entire COVID crisis is the lower socio-eco strata. For example, the real poor class, yes, they are getting some support, they are getting food, they are getting support from the government. But what about a barber shop? Or what about beauty parlor shops? And so on and so forth. They are really the biggest sufferers in this entire crisis. And these people also, we are talking to a large number of these people, and we are telling them that you need to come up with different kind of business models. Whether you can actually explore asking for money right now, because cash is currently the biggest problem. You can ask for some advance and then develop your business models, or for example, give 10 cuts, haircuts, out of which 2 haircuts will be free, and so on and so forth. So these kind of novel initiatives, novel business models need to come up. Okay, so for small kind of for these youngsters, but I know that the people currently who I'm talking to are not from this strata. They are more from students, they are more from faculty, and for them it is going to be about skills and skill sets. The reason I am saying this is because few months back we actually compared our engineers. We compared our 5,000 engineers from Russia and China. And what we realized from that comparison was that when it comes to problem solving skills, our engineers are not as good as Russian or Chinese engineers. They are good in theory. If you ask them theory, they will tell you theory. But how to apply that theory to solve a particular problem, they are not very good at. Okay, they certainly improve. So the first year baseline was really terrible, but over a period of time during their engineering courses or technical courses, they go ahead and improve. But finally, they are far below the par as compared to Russian and Chinese engineers. And that is what we realized from this study. They were very poor in their, as I said, in problem solving skill, their cognitive skills, their communication skills. So you should take this opportunity actually to explore how you can enhance some of these skills, your problem solving skills, your cognitive skills. Because of this new phenomena and lockdown, which no one of us has seen ever in our lifetime, such kind of a scenario. There were a lot of new opportunities which have also come up. Okay, because now large number of people will be working from home, so their health issues will be a big concern. Their fitness issues are going to be could be a market. Then the tools which are required for managing their time, and so on and so forth. So these could be the new opportunities. For example, if I am taking a dance class, yeah, now I cannot have 20 people in my or 30 people in my class. So now how I can stagger that dance class? So now these kind of, and if I have to stagger that, what kind of tools I will require to stagger it? And so these kind of opportunities are there for multiple such small requirements which have come out because due to the norms of social distancing, or even in education also, because now the classes of 60 may not be a reality, at least for next year or so how we can, what kind of delivery models we can come up with to ensure that the outcome is effective, the delivery of education is effective, but we maintain the norms of social distancing. We also come to college, we mingle with youngsters, or we talk to youngsters. So now moving forward, it's more of a blended kind of an education which we are going to look at. So what kind of tools we will require to ensure that this blended education is a success? So all these aspects are extremely very critical, and there are these new opportunities which are going to emerge. When I was talking to CEO of Mahindra Electric about what these youngsters, how these youngsters should prepare for the post-COVID world, and his observation was very good. So he said that India is considered to be one of the biggest automobile hub of the world. Then we also are considered to be software giants. But Abhay, if you really look at the new ideas are maybe from driverless cars or other kind of, are not coming from India. The reason is our youngsters are not knowledgeable about different disciplines. So multidisciplinary approach, which is very critical to survive in this world, is not there. So can we ask our youngsters to actually think about this during this COVID lockdown, so that they know that if they have to survive in an automobile world or automobile industry or manufacturing industry or electrical industry, what kind of competencies they will require beyond their core competency. So these kind of things are extremely critical, and this should be and this is the time where where all of us should take a step back, think about what we want from our future, and what are the skill sets which are relevant to achieve what we want, and then plan our life accordingly. So these are going to be some of the things which I really believe youngsters should look at. As MHRD, when we are looking at a post-COVID world, we are also trying to ensure that we make ecosystem much more conducive for education, for entrepreneurship and innovation. Because Prime Minister is talking about $5 trillion economy or was dreaming about $5 trillion economy before this COVID crisis. Undoubtedly, this COVID crisis has shrunk the economy or slowed down the growth of the economy. But this is a momentary thing. In long term, we have to still dream of $5 trillion economy. And if we have to dream of $5 trillion economy, then we have to emerge as knowledge-based society, as knowledge-based economy. Means what? When I say knowledge-based society or knowledge-based economy, is that we need to generate ideas which are not only relevant for this country, but have impact across the globe. But unfortunately, that is not happening. The reason is maybe we can blame our education system, which is marks-based, grade-based. We are all chasing marks or grades. We are into swallow and vomit kind of a system. But we also are not very keen on attacking new problems. We are also not very keen. And the reason for that is our training. That many times when you think out of the box, when you are a kid, your parents or your teachers actually kill your ideas. You know, they say, इधर उधर की बात मत कर, सिर्फ जो पढ़ाई है वो कर, or how much you are scoring or what kind of marks you are getting. And then that philosophy gets carried forward even when we go to colleges. If you go to, if you have an idea, if you go to some of the professors, they say, boss, don't work on all this, focus on your grades, marks, because that is going to help you get a job. So this needs to change. And we are trying to change this through our various initiatives. Because as I said, we need to create large number of entrepreneurs who will offer jobs, who are job creators and who are not job seekers. Then only we will be able to dream of $5 trillion economy, which we are currently dreaming of. And for that, now the ecosystem is certainly ready. Ecosystem is certainly ready. If you really look at last year's report from your story, in 9 months, from January to September, Indian startups have raised more than $7.1 billion from international investments or international agencies or investors. Okay, $7.1 billion means 50,000 crore rupees in 9 months. That kind of money was generated by our startups. Okay, so it's a huge money. So international community is keen on investing in this country. We have more than 450 incubators. And if you really look at incubators, unfortunately, many of these incubators are still underperforming because they have the capacity, but they don't have pipeline of startups or pipeline of ideas. So we need to work on creating this pipeline of ideas. We have mentors, we have funding, we have incubators to support business. And the only thing which is currently missing is great ideas. And if we can focus on identifying great ideas, or if you have any good idea, and if you focus on taking that idea logically forward, then it will be of great help for this country. Because if you even look at intellectual property filing which has happened, last year's data shows that in India, China is filing about 13.5 lakh patents. US is filing about 6 to 6.5 lakh patents. While India is filing only 45,000 patents, out of which about 69% to 70% are from non-residential Indians. You know, so it's not that only great ideas come in China or America. It's not that. We also have good people. Great ideas do come to, also our people think of good ideas. But unfortunately, our ecosystem, due to our ecosystem or due to our mindset, due to our culture, we are not logically taking those great ideas forward, not claiming their ownership, not converting into something which is tangible. And now it's high time that we start focusing on converting our ideas into something really tangible. And the reason I am telling you this is because even if you look at current startup ecosystem. We have 30,000 plus startups. We are the third largest country in this world to have startups. First is undoubtedly US, second is China, and third is India. We have more startups than all European countries put together, or even we have more startups than Israel. But if you really look at some of the successful startups, maybe it's Big Basket or Ola, or they are primarily into e-commerce or logistics space. If you look at our 24 unicorns, which are the unicorn is $1 billion valuation. They are majority in logistics space or e-commerce space. No deep tech startups have still come up, which have become unicorn. And we really require deep tech startups where there is huge, good use of knowledge, good use of technology, some real a great idea which might have a global impact. So we have to work on that, and I believe that this is just a starting point. We can certainly go ahead and in due course of time, we believe that our ecosystem is now ready to support these big tech, deep tech startups, and for that also, to ensure that this culture prevails, we are doing multiple things. We are doing policy interventions, which are very, very important. Then we are hand-holding the institutions, because large number of institutions do believe that innovation and entrepreneurship needs to be promoted, but they simply don't know how to go about it. I was talking to more than 50 plus vice chancellors and deans, and when they're very well-meaning people, but they come from a very different background sometimes. Before they become vice chancellor, they are dean or HODs from sociology, psychology, basic sciences, botany, and then suddenly when they become vice chancellors or directors of an institute, they are told that promote innovation, promote entrepreneurship. They simply get lost. They just don't know how to go about it. So we felt that handholding is also very critical. So for that, we have created this IIC program, Institutional Innovation Councils. Then we also need to provide platforms for youngsters with great ideas to actually showcase their great ideas and compete with those great ideas. So we have initiatives like Grand Challenges, Ideathon, Smart India Hackathon, Samadhan, and so on and so forth. And then eventually the final thing is how we can measure the outcome of our, I'm not talking about the output, I'm talking about the outcome of all of our intervention. So, and for that now we are doing ARIA, Atal Innovation Ranking of Institutions on Innovation Index, or that we are ranking. But all this is very, very critical, because I don't know how many of you will be aware that in 2014, before this government, India's ranking on Innovation Index was 81. Innovation Index is Global Innovation Index, which is, this is the ranking, yearly ranking, which is published by World Patent Organization, WIPO, that is World International Patent Organization, and Carnegie Mellon University. They jointly work and publish this ranking. And in this ranking, they actually talk about the innovation index or the innovation achievements or capabilities of each country for that year. And India's rank, as I said, in 2014 was 81. Okay, China's rank was 70, I think 28, 20, around that, I think. And in last 5 years, we have substantially improved on this ranking, because when Prime Minister came to know about this ranking, he actually gave us a target saying that in next 5 years, we should have a substantial jump. And if you really look last year's ranking, now we are 52. India is the only country which has made such a huge jump from 81 to 52 in such a short span. But whether 52 rank really does justice to our potential? No, because now China is 12th It's very, so we are 52, China is 12. So this rank is really not doing justice to our potential. And if you really look at countries which are ahead of us, are like Malta, Moldova, Estonia. You might have never heard their name also. They are also doing, even Vietnam is doing better than us on some of the parameters. So there is huge scope for us for improvement. And if we have to improve, then our biggest or the best hope is our all technical institutions, our engineering institutions, our pharmacy institutions, our higher educational institutions, because ideas are going to come from them. And in India, we need to create such thousands of islands of innovations. And that was one of the aspect which we are trying to handle or we are trying to address through this, our innovation related activities. When we are also saying about this innovation activities, we also need to ensure that right kind of policies are in place. And we unshackle our innovators or our faculties so that they get some incentive for doing these kind of activities. And when we started looking at what were the incentives for faculty and students who want to pursue innovation or entrepreneurship, we were really surprised. There were not any, or on the contrary, many of the norms were actually hampering innovation and entrepreneurship. I will share with you a very interesting story. One student from a prestigious IIT actually went ahead and started his venture in his hostel, and he started, it was a small thing, e-venture, and he started making some money from that venture. When the director of that institute came to know about that he is doing a venture from his from the hostel, so he called that student and asked that where is the revenue share of the institute. So he said, what revenue share? So the student said, so director told him that as per norms of our institution, that any enterprise which uses our facilities, our institutional facilities, the IP of that business belongs to the institution. So he said, the student said, sir, I have not used any of the facilities of institution. I have done it myself. The idea is mine. I have worked on my computer. So the director said, no, you have used institution's internet, hostel's internet. And because you have used hostel's internet, the IP belongs to us, and you have to get into revenue sharing. So this is ridiculous in a sense. Okay, so we said this needs to change. Okay? Then we spoke to some other faculties, and I'm talking about such prestigious institutes. Then revenue sharing pattern, if a revenue is generated by a faculty, the institute was asking for somewhere around 50% revenue sharing. अगर 50% इंस्टीट्यूट निकाल लेगा पैसा, 30% इनकम टैक्स निकाल लेगा पैसा, तो बचता क्या है? So there is no incentivization. So we said this needs to change. And now we have got this National Innovation and Startup Policy for faculties and students, which will give them, it's a very innovator biased policy. It will give them a huge opportunity to owe the IP. Revenue sharing is with, if there is a significant contribution from institute is as low as 20%. If they want to hold, if institute wants to hold an equity in startup, they cannot go beyond 9.75%, and they can go for beyond they cannot go beyond 9.75%, as I said. And even if they want to get 9.75%, they actually have to financially invest into that. Otherwise, they are only eligible with 3% or so if they are just supporting it. So the reason is we need to unshackle. If you look at Stanford University, which is considered to be the most innovative university in the world as per all the ranking, don't ask for any equity. in any of the startups which are incubated there. So best of the ideas actually get attracted there, and eventually they believe that if the businesses will become big, the businesses will go ahead and support the institute. Google is paying huge amount of money to Stanford because Google came out of Stanford. Stanford doesn't owe an IP for the Google search engine, but as philanthropy, as endowment, as support, Stanford is getting huge money from all the ventures which have come out of Stanford. So we also need to believe in our youngsters. We also need to support our youngsters, and we can hope that if the business is successful, we will get something far more than what we could have got just by chasing for initial equity. Because large number of businesses fail, you actually don't convert anything. But because of these strict norms, you repel the potential entrepreneurs which might be interested in incubating in your project. So these are some of the things which are very, very critical and which we are doing. I think I have been talking for last 40 minutes or so. Monologue is sometimes extremely boring. So if there are questions, I can certainly take questions, and we can continue this discussion.
Thank you, sir. That was very enlightening. I'd like to say that our institutes, we have around 20 or 25 student-led startups right now, and we have and even 3 or 4 faculty-led startups. So we were thinking about a lot of these things, for a long time, and I think the startup policy and all give it a push that says now, hey, I can show it to all the faculty members, our heads, and say, yes, this is something that is actually being encouraged by MHRD. I want to ask you a little bit about the pre-COVID times. Actually, what was like one of the ways that uh, uh, people enforce sort of things on institutions is by sort of making rules and regulations and big cuts that say, okay, you do this, do this, do this. But this is the first time with the IIC and MHRD innovation cell I'm seeing where it's not a mandatory. Every institution start an IIC or every institution have something. It's more of a nudge. So like we'll give you some incentives to create these sort of innovation hubs and innovation cells, like competitions and awards and certificates and all these sort of things. These very soft kind of incentives. So how did that thinking emerge? Where did that sort of come from?
So basically, that thought process is very, very simple. That till date, MHRD was focusing on its centrally funded institutes like IITs and NITs for promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. But if you see only 1% or even 0.5% of our students actually study in these prestigious organizations. 99.5% or 99.8% of our students are in tier 2, tier 3 organizations. So it is imperative for us to ensure that we develop islands of innovations in this tier 2, tier 3 organization. When we are saying that, when we decided to promote this, we were also aware that large number of institutes may not be emotionally ready also for some of these aspects. So we wanted first to work with progressive institutes keen on working with us, so that they are emotionally with us in what we are trying to do, and will follow what we want to achieve. And once we will establish this model, because if you see IIC model, there is no such model globally available. Okay, we have conceptualized this model in-house, and we are trying to actually use it. Now, we were also not sure when we started with this model that whether this model will be successful or a failure. Okay, so we were not keen on pushing each and every institute to adopt for that model. And we internally also didn't have the bandwidth to monitor and handhold if we get 10,000 plus institutes. Currently, I am handholding about 1,500 institutes, out of which I can tell you about 1,100 institutes are responding very, very well. Still, there are 400 institutes within these 1,500 institutes which are not doing much. Okay, but 1100 institutes are really responding us well. So we want to work with people who are doing well. First, we will establish that model. We will show the success of that model. And once people will realize that this model is successful, then others will emulate certainly. And there we might not have to personally look into some of these things. And we are now thinking of Margadarshak kind of a scheme where the people who have done good work in innovation actually will mentor some other institutes who have not done such great work. So we are working on some of these aspects. But here now moving forward is that if you want to really emerge, we are more than happy to help you. If you are not very keen on doing what you want, then yeah, you are on your own. We are on our own.
Thank you. The one of the bottlenecks that we have, right? So we are trying to encourage startups, trying to encourage innovations, competition, Smart India Hackathon. One of the bottlenecks that we have is that we have far too many exams that students are worried about. So they have 10th standard exam, 12th standard exams, first year exams, JEE exams, CET exams, and then it goes to final year exams, and then UPSC, whatever. There's so many exams are there. So once the examination season comes, it's very difficult to get anybody to do anything. So are there some steps being taken to maybe we are affiliated colleges, so our universities need to have some awareness that is there really a need for so many exams? Like we have exams on topics that don't really need exams, like product development and filmmaking, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
our teachers and our education system people are expert in converting anything into an exam. Even if I give you a webinar, there will be some of your professors now will be asking what were the points highlighted and we would like to mark it. So this is what.
So are these, yeah.
So to answer your broader question, yes, the new education policy is which is working on will address some of these issues. Certainly, more than evaluation has to be there at every level. We don't say evaluation, but what kind of evaluation and what should be the metrics of evaluation? We have to change that. And now, even if you really look at this COVID thing, UGC has come up with suggestions that even go for open book exams, or open choices question. So these kind of suggestions are now coming. So this is a new normal which is happening. And in due course of time, I really believe that the format of exams will also change, and because of that format changes, the pressure which is currently on students on rote learning and memorization and so on and so forth will also go down. And then exams may not become such a daunting task for youngsters. So we really need to move in that direction. And I think we realize at MHRD level that these are the problems which are there, which whether there is any quick fix for it, maybe no. Okay. But yes, we are very sensitive towards this and we are working on it. That's what I can say.
Sir, a question from Dr. Goyal, former BARC scientist who works with us, is sort of, there's a lot of focus on driving innovation in our sort of higher education institutes. But really we can't, we have to start at some point. So up to that 12th standard, 10th standard, even primary and secondary education, I think innovation needs to start at that level.
So what Goyal sir says is completely right. And that is what for that itself, this Niti Aayog came up with Atal Tinkering Labs, Atal Innovation Mission. And Atal Innovation Mission completely focuses on schools. So they focus on creating these tinkering labs. And till date now, 5,000 tinkering labs have been created. And another 5,000 is in pipeline. But whether 5,000 are enough for a country like India, maybe no. Okay, so there are two things which we have to work on. One is actually creating a right kind of infrastructure in the schools so that new ideas could be taken forward, or supported. The other is a cultural aspect also, where we need to educate our teachers, our professors, that new ideas need to be celebrated, new ideas need to be appreciated, handholded. Because even if you currently look at some of the tinkering labs in some of the schools we have looked into, they are for showcasing to others. You know, जब कोई आता है, you are an educational institute, so you know, तो कोई visitor आता है तो उसको वो चार चकाचक लैब दिखाने के लिए लेके जाते हैं. Okay, so same things happen with school. They are actually not utilized for what it is meant for. And a large number of teachers are worried कि ये टूट जाएगा, अगर filament आएगा तो उसका पैसा कहाँ से आएगा, क्या? So that still that mental block is there, you know. And we also need, and that is a cultural problem. So we have to work on the cultural problem as well as we need to create facility. So this is not going to be what we can say a change, we will not change this in 1 month or so. It is going to take time, but we have to continuously make efforts in this.
There are some questions from our faculty members, Divya and Arun, asking.
Priyamji,
Yes.
I need to get into another meeting at 12:30, so
Okay.
we will stop. Stop at 12:30.
Last question then. So,
Yeah.
I have a couple of one question from Arun and Divya. Is sort of if you had to give advice to an education institute when they wake up after this post-COVID crisis, what would be like maybe 2 or 3 main reforms that we at our level can do?
So one important thing which an educational institute needs to is that you have to relook at your business model. Okay, because revenues are going to go down because now with this online culture, online, and then UGC is pushing for Swayam and in big way, or Swayam Prabha channels in big way. Many students are going to opt for courses or degrees or credits from other institutions. Okay. Then your indirect revenue will also go down, because if hostels may come log hai, ya, you know, because of the social distancing thing. So you have to really look at one of your business model, and you have to look at new type of students or new type of customers who could be your potential. For example, large number of now IT is going through a really bad phase where people in mid 40s or late 30s, they are now getting redundant because technologies have changed and they have remained managers. They don't know, they are not very technically competent to look at new of the technologies. And because team sizes are shrinking, companies don't require large number of managers. And suddenly now these large number of managers are going to be jobless. Okay. The middle layer, management layer, because we require always the top layer which is very small and the bottom layer which actually works. The beach wala middle layer hota hai, they actually just manage people, right? They are project managers. And because the sizes of projects are going down, we don't require so many project managers. And now these people could be good customers because they are keen on retraining and reskilling themselves. So these kind of whether you can actually accommodate these new customers or the new students in your business model, that is extremely critical for us. Then another aspect which is very, very critical is you have made a huge amount of investments when it comes to your infrastructure. And large number of your infrastructure is getting still underutilized. Okay, you can always say that we have this student, that one. So how you can utilize this infrastructure, and can you create some business model for utilizing this infrastructure by outsourcing or giving it on lease or someone, maybe for 2 hours or 5 hours at night. So these kind of business models you have to really look into to ensure that your institute can sustain. And eventually it's going to be a lot of online education is happening. I don't see that brick and mortar colleges are going to get replaced, because colleges themselves bring a huge amount of experience when it comes to student. It's an experience in itself, right? Going to a college, hanging out with students, and so on and so forth. So that may not, there may not be threat to that, but yes, the revenues may go down because a lot of online opting will also happen for better faculty, better degrees, and so on and so forth.
Okay. I think we will then have Joshi. Thank you, sir. I think Joshi sir will deliver the vote of thanks, right? So you're muted.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Abhay sir, for very wonderful talk. I request Avinash to place vote of thanks. Over to Avinash.
Thank you, Dr. Abhay Jere, sir, for discussing all the possibilities after COVID in detail. It was an excellent session. We are thankful to you, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and accepting our invitation. We would like to host you at our campus when situation is normal, obviously. I thank the management of the Mahatma Education Society. I thank Principal Dr. Joshi, sir, and thank the Student Council for making it live on YouTube. Our students are innovative, they are doing all these things. Thanks to all the head of the institutions, thanks to all head of the departments, all the faculty members who are in this meeting and watching live on YouTube. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you, Jere.
hosting me. I sincerely appreciate.
Thank you, Jere sir. Thank you all.
Jai Hind.
Thank
Jai
you.
Hind, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. Ajay, you can stop the streaming.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.